It's 4:13 on Thursday, February 16th. We will begin our meeting at this time. I'll call the meeting to order. I would like to identify those in attendance. To my far right, camera's left, our Secretary Mimicio. To my immediate right, camera's left, Commissioner Ron Goodgame. I am Commissioner Steve Wood. On the phone we have in Florida, Commissioner Joe Balboni. To my left, Chief Dean Rondo, and to his immediate left, Captain Mark Libby. At this time, I ask that we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I'll take a motion on the consideration of the minutes for January 19th meeting.
I move that we accept the minutes as written January 19, 2017.
Been moved by Commissioner Goodgame. Commissioner Balboni, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chief Rondo, if you would like to begin with our monthly activity report.
Yes, sir. So the first slide that I will go over will be the incident cases year-to-date 2017. So this is for the month of January, and you'll see that in comparison to the month of December, we have had a 15.385% decrease in criminal incidents, which is a good thing. The next reports in your packet are going to be the background information relative to those incident reports and to the number of offenses that are contained therein. The next chart is arrests, again for calendar year 2017. So you'll see that based off of December's numbers in January, with 30 arrests, we've had a 22.22% increase. So what that is really reflective of, gentlemen, is as things were winding down in the holidays and so forth, officers getting caught up in reports and arrest warrants and so forth and so on. The next series of reports breaks out each one of those arrests by officer and what the arresting offenses were for. The next three reports are relative to how those arrests break down by gender, nationality, in age group, and I just thought that it would be interesting to take a look at that and look at the various breakdowns. That's always very useful. The next report after that is arrests and incidents by warrant and by time of day. So that'll give a breakdown as to when our most of the arrests are occurring, and no surprise there. You're going to see it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday evenings. Records analysis report, and this will give you protective custody arrest by time of day. So this is for inebriation, public intoxication, and you'll see again no mystery there. It's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday evenings. Moving on to collisions in calendar year 2017, we realized, and this is really good news, we realized a 27.27% decrease in traffic collisions. So this is the lowest I think I've ever seen, at a total of 8 for the month of January. I think this is the first time since I've been here in 21 years that we've had single-digit motor vehicle collisions. And I know you like this next chart, Mr. Chairman. This is going to be the accidents by street name. And you'll see that it's no surprise that it's essentially Center Street and South Main Street. Absolutely. So traffic stops in calendar year 2017, we had a decrease in January based in comparison to December of 31.57%. Again, decrease. So essentially, and Commissioner Goodgame, I have these numbers here, especially for you, because I know how much you like numbers.
Thank you.
And you're welcome, sir. And so you'll see 7 summonses out of 91 motor vehicle stops equals 7.69% of stops equals summonses, or conversely, you have a 1,300% chance of receiving a warning. I would call those pretty good odds. All right, so again.
More favorable to me.
Yeah, there you go. So I say that with a little bit of tongue in cheek, but essentially, this is educational, okay? So, and this really hammers that home. I mean, you have a 1,300% chance of receiving a warning, all right? Those are
Not receiving
of receiving a warning.
Warning
Oh, of a
versus-
warning.
Of
not
a warning.
ticket.
Right.
7.69% chance of receiving a summons. So, the background data, gentlemen, will break down in your reports, will break down exactly where those traffic stops and summonses were issued for your records if you wanna see that. And it's pretty good layout. And again, you'll see that most of the stops are occurring again on 28 and Center Street. There should be no surprise to that. I also included a new report, and what I would like you gentlemen to do is just review it. This is a one-page report, and I think this really gives you guys everything that you really need in one concise report. So this is something new. This is incidents, arrests, accidents, citations, interviews, orders, and tickets, meaning parking tickets. So it's all in one report. So if this is something that you like, so take the month or so, digest it, review it, compare it to the other graphs and charts that you have. If you want me to continue it, I will. But I think we would actually save an awful lot of paper if we did it this way. But again, I'll do whatever it is that you gentlemen want to do. So moving on to the detective's investigative report. He closed 50% of his cases this month, and that obviously is 50% of the cases for this calendar year, again being the month of January. The detailed monthly work summary report for the detective was also included. Subject to your question, I'll move on, Mr. Chairman. School resource officer report, I think is pretty self-explanatory. You look at this report where he's carrying on average per month about 20 cases, and that's pretty substantial. That's a pretty heavy caseload. We'll talk a little bit more about the training he went through this month as well. Moving on to the prosecutor's report. This was a slow month for us in the courts in January. So we had 11 defendants responding to 14 complaints. They break down basically as 2 arraignments, 2 hearings, 6 pleas, and 4 sentencing hearings, which resulted in $3,782 in fines and penalties being meted out. And again, that was a slow month for us in the courts. Before I move into the chief's items, I think might be a good time to present the awards we have, Mr. Chairman.
I think it's a great idea.
So, this is an opportunity. I'm just going to come forward here for the Wolfeboro Police Department and the Mr. Chairman, do you want to join me? To present a certificate of appreciation to the Brewster Academy Head of Schools, Dr. Craig Gill. Sir, if you could come forward. And this is for your outstanding support to the Wolfeboro Police Department and to us, and I really appreciate it for the open house and at the change of command that we did recently. And I think it just outlines the great relationship we have with Brewster Academy, and we cherish that an awful lot. We want to continue that.
Well,
So
I should
thank
have
you
brought
very
a
much.
certificate of appreciation for you, so thank you.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
all of your people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This next award that I'm going to present is probably, some of you are going to say, a little out of character for a police commission meeting. But what some of you may not know is that, thank you, is that I am a retired colonel in the United States Army. And So obviously, I have a soft spot in my heart for veterans and service members of all branches of the service. And at this point in time, I would like to have First Sergeant retired Al Capone come on up. And First Sergeant Capone and I actually, believe it or not, we served together in the same battalion. This is way back in the day when I was a young soldier, and he was a young NCO back then. And this is for you. And this is a Cold War Certificate of Appreciation, and it's issued to First Sergeant Capone, United States Army retired, on behalf of a grateful nation. Sir, thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you've done for our country. And it would be remiss if I didn't also mention that First Sergeant Capone and I are both paratroopers. So, which means that we jumped out of airplanes on purpose, and I think it's really important to note that, because there's not a whole lot of us that can band together, so to speak. And I also want to say thank you very much. You provided a blanket of security under which we rose and slept, and you defended the country, and I think that's really very important. So I'm going to turn over the floor to you.
It's an honor for me to get it from a military man like you and the chief. I'm very appreciative to it.
Thank you very much.
I think you need to get Amy up there and let her give her father a hug.
I think that's a great idea.
Can I get you down there?
First Sergeant, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Chief, if you would like to continue on with Chief's items?
I will, Mr. Chairman. So, and just so we're clear on this, I do have a few items for non-public session. So under personnel, this month we received 2 resumes for our 3 open positions, one for the 1 full-time position and 1 for the 2 part-time positions. As soon as the period closes on 17 February, I will inform the commission, and the captain will begin to schedule interviews. More to be determined. The month of January remained fairly quiet for personnel actions. The captain and I conducted 2 staff meetings, the first on 27 January and the second on 7 February. There was quite a bit of good and meaningful discussion as the captain and I continued to tap the rudder a few degrees. Everyone was engaged in the meeting and participated meaningfully, and that's good to see. I attended the Governor Wentworth Regional School District Deliberative School Session. It was very informative. The captain and I continue to be a presence at the Board of Selectmen's meetings. Additionally, we attended the 7 February 2017 Town Deliberative Session. It was quite a show. Upon conclusion of the Chief's items...
Can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
On that, Chief? You just alluded to the fact about the town deliberative session being quite a show. I'm just curious if we have we could get your input, briefly, or a brief discussion regarding the merits or the lack thereof within that, within Article 28. That was one that was spoken to by town council at the deliberative session.
Yes, sir.
And the only reason I'm putting you on the spot is town council made very valid points, but I think that the general public, there were a lot of people in attendance there, but there were a lot that were not, obviously, that probably don't understand the full scope of the article itself. So if we could just briefly, because we do have a lot to do, especially in non-public session tonight, if we could just kind of maybe get the word out a little bit.
So I did
Excuse me
have...
1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, we can do that.
Chief, is it a fact that town council, Mark Puffer, sent you a statement that we could adopt, should we want to, on our views with regard to warrant Article 28?
He did, and he did.
And do you
sir.
have it with you?
I do, sir.
You want to read it?
Yes, sir. Warrant article, so this is from town council, and again, to answer your question, yes, he and I did have a discussion, and we discussed the merits or lack thereof of warrant article 28. So this is essentially what was sent to us by town council. Warrant article 28 is an article submitted by petition, which means that it must appear on the warrant, even if its purpose is improper or illegal. Town council has advised that article 28 would be improper and illegal for a number of reasons. First, the article purports to establish a policy, ordinance, or charter for the purpose of investigating alleged wrongdoings by public officials. Municipalities only have such powers are granted them by the state legislature, and towns have not been granted the authority to adopt an ordinance or procedure for the investigation of alleged wrongdoing by public officials. Neither RSA 3139, which gives towns the authority to adopt ordinances covering a broad range of subjects, nor any other state statute gives towns such authority. Second, state statutes grant authority to investigate alleged wrongdoing by public officials to specific bodies. For example, the police commission pursuant to RSA 105-C:4 has the authority to remove police personnel for just cause. And inherent in that authority is the obligation to establish a hearing procedure for such removal. Town meeting cannot override or usurp the police commission's authority in this regard. Third, the petition warrant article raises grave constitutional questions. Anyone accused of a crime has a number of constitutional rights, including the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and the Sixth Amendment right to confront witnesses, which would be in jeopardy under the petitioned warrant article. Moreover, alleged criminal wrongdoing by public officials in New Hampshire is investigated by the county attorney and the attorney general, not by an investigative body or agency established by individual towns. For the above reasons, it is stated that he is recommending a serious consideration on the article, and his recommendation for the commission is to make a recommended no vote on Article 28.
Okay, so
All right.
if I understand what you're saying, he's recommending a no vote on the article, not recommending us to vote.
That's correct. That's essentially what it.
Well, wait a minute, he doesn't have any objection to us recommending a no vote, does he?
No,
Oh,
Good.
no,
not at all.
Then
I was trying to
I
clarify.
propose that we adopt a resolution authorizing the promulgation of Attorney Puffer's recommended warrant article response to number 28. And I recommend, and I would like us to adopt the position that there be a no vote on Article 28. Second?
Joe, do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Well, wait a minute, let's have a little discussion.
Oh, okay.
The reason I think that it's important is because we are constantly hearing in this day and age that the public has a right to know on a number of subjects. And one of those subjects, I think, is this warrant article 28, which I think is, personally, I think it's very flawed. And I think that it would be a mistake for the town to adopt it, because then there's going to be litigation and all kinds of brouhaha as to whether or not it has any constitutional legs. So because of that right to know, it is my recommendation that the police commission take a position on warrant article 28 so that the public will know why and in what regard we feel that a no vote is warranted.
I agree with your assessment, Commissioner Goodgame. And furthermore, in looking at the warrant article as written, in its original form, there were a couple of things that kind of glared at me. One was compelling witnesses to write statements. There was another one about, it's alluded a bit here by town council about pulling together a board of people to conduct an investigation. Those in their very, you know,
It's a little,
basic sense are legal.
it's a little unclear what the intent is. I think at town vote, not town vote, but at town meeting, there was a discussion about wanting to hire an outside board or an agency to come in, an independent body, so to speak. There was some discussion about the town could hire an independent counsel to do these investigations. And so it's a little unclear essentially, when you read warrant article 28, really what the intent is, at least the way I read it. The bottom line is there are agencies that do this. The Attorney General's office does this. We do internal affairs investigations. If there's a conflict of interest, then we can get a sheriff's department, any sheriff's department in the state, we can get the state police. We can call up to the Attorney General's office and have the Office of Public Integrity do the investigation. They all have criminal prosecution and arrest powers. So this would be a duplicative effort that I just don't think needs to occur. And again, it's awfully expensive. Town council also brings up a very good point where there is no authority, the town has no authority to mandate an outside agency do an investigation. We can ask, but they can't mandate. You can't mandate, you know, someone else to do the investigation. You can't order that, in other words. And you know, typically we have a pretty good relationship with the Attorney General's office and other organizations. If we need to have an investigator from one of those agencies look at something, that's usually very easy to do. So again, for all those reasons, I do want to say one thing. I may have misstated something. The town council is not recommending the police commission vote no.
Correct.
That's not what he's recommending.
We
I just want to make
understand
sure of that, because I think I may have misstated that. It's completely up to you, gentlemen,
Right.
as to what you want to recommend.
We understand.
Okay, all right, okay.
You're off the hook.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So I call for the question.
Joe, did you have any comments? Are you comfortable with the discussion? The position of or the proposed position of the commission with regard to that Article 28? Okay. At this time, I will entertain,
But, Mr. Chairman, one last thing. I also want to make it very clear that the town council is not making a recommendation one way or the other. Again, I think I may have misstated that last sentence, and I do apologize for the confusion. So, he's not taking a position on this. He's just writing his analysis.
and what I'd like to see, before we take a vote, I'd like to see it also, if it's voted, I'd like to see it on the department website, maybe provided to listen for the paper, town website.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So that it's, again, it does fall under the right to know, and the public does have the right to know. Okay, so,
So can Amy read the resolution?
oh, sure. We're going to vote on the resolution, Joe, but Amy's going to read it first.
So the Wolfeboro Police Commission will adopt to recommend voting no on Article 28.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous, all three. Okay. I'm sorry, now you may continue.
Thanks, sir. Moving on to training, Officer Shane Emerson attended field training officer school at the New Hampshire Police Academy in Concord. So he's now a certified FTO, and that's really good. That's a very good school to have under your belt. Senior Patrolman Llewellyn completed an active shooter training course sponsored through Homeland Security Agency, and that goes hand in glove with his duties as the school resource officer. On matters of outreach and matters of interest, I spoke on WASR on a number of topics and was invited back to be scheduled for sometime in mid-March. I also met Mr. Timothy Goodwin, the new manager of Wolfeboro Community TV. We had a great discussion regarding programming and public safety issues. So stay tuned for more to follow on our initiatives in the future. No pun intended. Captain Livy attended the boss meeting on 1 February, and I attended on 15 February. They were short meetings and nothing unusual occurred. Our fiscal year 17 first quarter grant submissions were submitted on 13 January 2017, and we've since received some reimbursements from New Hampshire Highway Safety. Town vote is scheduled for 14 March 2017. And gentlemen, subject to your questions, that's all I have.
Good. Melissa, did you have any questions on anything that we've discussed so far, or any clarifications you need?
I'm all set.
Okay, Ron?
I'm all set.
You have a commission item?
I do.
You do it so far. Joe, are you all set with everything so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So commission items, Ron, you have something?
Yeah, I have actually three.
Okay.
Number one, I'd like to discuss and get in place the part-time employee pay increases. Number two,
That part we should be doing in non-public.
Well, it's up to you, but let me say that
Okay.
the budget that is up for town vote from the budget committee shows that in the part-time wages on our line item 01-42100-117, part-time wages, there's an increase of $2,306, which it comports favorably with other non-union employees, part-timers. There was an increase given to the administrative system as well as the police prosecutor. That's a public record.
Right.
You don't want to discuss it? I just like the resolve to accept it.
I guess I'm not clear on this either, because we may have left some people out, is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What?
There were some people left out of the pay raise.
Correct, and we want to deal with that.
Right.
You want to do that in
I want
non-public?
to do that in non-public because we'll be talking about people.
All right, well, let's just make a note that I saw Chamberlain the other day, and he says that we need to get to him, ask that, the specific numbers so he can plug them in.
We could do that today.
And you can do that once we adopt it?
We can.
Okay, so I'd like at some point in time, non-public's okay, but I'd like to accept the Board of Selectmen and the amount that they put on the budget line for us, okay? The other thing that I had really is there are only two, I don't need the second. Third one, which is now my second one, is looking at the job descriptions for the chief, captain, first sergeant, sergeant, corporal. In view of the time, I would recommend that each of the commissioners take a look at the descriptions individually and give our individual responses to the chief and all, but then on the other hand, I want to be sure that we do adopt these job
Do
descriptions
you want
at
to put
some
off
point.
the next meeting, John?
And we've been putting it off now for almost 6 months.
Well, the chief and the captain's position, we got those to where we need to look at them and vote on. And then we just got the three new,
That's correct.
the three new ones.
Well, and the first sergeant really isn't necessary yet because that doesn't come up until the 2018.
That's correct, sir.
So, but I noticed that in the job description for the corporal that the captain sent me, he is, or she is, going to be designated as training officer?
He or she is gonna be the officer that actually goes out and does the training. The actual training officer,
Okay,
who
so,
charges the FTO, will be the staff sergeant.
okay, that's what I kind of thought it was. Thanks. So we do have a deadline, it seems to me. Deadline has got to be before we make the new hires.
The new hire, correct, but that position doesn't come into effect actually until 2019 by the union.
The corporal?
That's
The corporal
correct.
and the staff sergeant,
Oh,
so we have time.
Yeah, you got
I thought it
2
was only the
years.
staff sergeant that was delayed.
No, you got 2 years. You got 2 years. The only deadline you're establishing, sir, right now is arbitrary.
Oh,
You got 2 years.
okay.
And just so we're clear, the corporal, just so we're clear, it's, no, the training officer is always gonna be the executive officer, right? But that's part of his, that's one of his duties and responsibilities. The corporals will essentially be the field training officers. They'll be FTOs, okay? They're gonna be the ones that'll be, basically taking out the new officers that we get out of the academy or the new officers that we bring in, and they'll be putting them through the FTO program. So they will be basically the first ones in that chain of command that deal with training at the, if you will, pardon the term, at the tactical police level. This is how you clean a cruiser, this is how you fill out the reports, this is how you write a parking ticket, that kind of stuff, which they don't necessarily really get at the police academy, because every department is a little bit different. Does that make sense?
It does.
Excellent.
So since we have a captain and since we have a chief of police, this is not mandatory that we adopt right away anyway, is it?
No, those are
Those are just updates.
those they were recommended or requested changes by the chairman. We made those changes. We submitted them to you for your review. You may adopt them at your leisure.
Good, okay. Then why don't we, just to button it all up, put it on the agenda for next month? Just to conclude this or have some discussion on it, okay. That works for me.
You all set? Yep.
I'm all set.
And Luke is not here. Okay, on our last bit of public, we have a request from Mr. Joe Melanson to speak to the commission regarding policy and procedures. Joe, do you want to come forward, or?
Yeah, where would you like me?
Suzanne, do you have anything you want to say, address the commission?
Excuse me?
Did you want to address the commission?
Or a question or anything?
Well, after Joe.
After he
me.
finishes,
Let me start.
it's just a simple question,
Okay.
but it's pertinent to what his brother has said.
All right. I'm just here for constructive, or just a couple of follows from December. A couple of issues.
Now, let me just say this, Joe.
Yeah.
I see you've got a wad of paper there.
Some of it's going to go
We,
to you.
we asked last time, and we published a letter in the newspaper. And we asked last time that you respect our rule that we get 48 hours notice if you want to be on the agenda.
What you did.
And you tell us what you want to speak to. So that if it is different from what we're talking about here, like tonight or last December or January, we can prepare for it. So we don't have to take a lot of extra time where you're going to ask questions and we're going to go. We don't have the answer for that right now.
Yeah, but as commissioners, you should be able to field any question that comes in here from anybody.
That is not true.
Well, if you
That
can't,
is
you
not
just
true.
say you'll get back to the person, that's all.
We
And
will.
after listening to the reports tonight, maybe there's a couple of questions, or maybe someone in the audience might want to ask or generate, you might have a concern, maybe
We
the
will.
person lives in the area, if there's, break-ins, whatever, that's all. It's very hard to, I think, to have someone, in speaking with other people that I speak with, to have, if they're a working person, get here at 4 o'clock. I mean, people do have concerns and issues.
Why don't they call us up?
Because if they call you
Why,
up,
why
have
don't
to
they,
be-
why don't they look on the
Well,
website?
honestly, they have spoke to some of the commissioners, and they've not got back to them. I would
Oh,
say
really?
Yes.
You wanna tell us who those people are?
I'd rather not right now.
Yeah, well, that's your problem. You come here every time with
No, that's not-
innuendo.
No, it's not my problem, that's the
You
people
come
that I
here
speak
with
with. because of the
innuendo.
procedures no, not innuendos.
Yes, you do,
These are facts.
because you do not give us the whole
Well, let
truth.
me start with what I was gonna start with tonight.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just want to clarify a couple things, just because someone has asked me about this. I'm going to check with the board. It says, should a member of the public wish to address the police commission at a regular meeting and discuss an issue, the commission requires that they be notified in writing 48 hours in advance of the scheduled meeting so that the item may be placed on the agenda as required by law and that the topic is known, part of the request. I just want to make note, unless I'm wrong, if that's a rule you made, it must be, what, in the SOP somewhere? The 48-hour written rule?
I don't know, but the three of us know it.
Well, as a public member, I was wondering. I was just going to make a note, I think it should be noted that the 48-hour written notification and topics to address is a rule made by the police commission, right, not required by law.
That's true.
Some people thought it was required by law, and they didn't want to come here because of that, they didn't want to take the time. That's what I was, so I said I would follow up, okay? So there's one.
The website tells everybody what our phone numbers are.
Yeah.
They can get in touch with the chief, the captain. It's like, you know,
Well, jumping
I'm
to
not
that-
getting the phone line off the hook.
Well, sometimes maybe they don't want to call.
But they'd rather come here in a public meeting.
Yeah, if they can make it, yeah.
Why won't they call if
Because
they're
there
willing
may
to
be
come here in
some
a
other
public
issues
meeting on
they wanna bring
TV?
up. I have no idea.
I don't either, but you
So,
know, you talk
Let's go to
about
the
these
next.
illusionary
one here.
witnesses we don't get to see.
This is something outside what I was going to talk about tonight, but that's why I was asked to.
Outside of what you were gonna talk about.
Yeah, I just had mentioned. that
Isn't this what we had agreed last December?
Well, I'm going to go over a couple things just to clarify a couple points.
How long do you think this will take?
Let's find out.
Give me a rough shot. How long?
Well,
I
let me,
have
let me,
no
let
idea.
me, okay. Being that I am the chair.
It won't take that long.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, Shelby, only because we're very lengthy, non-public tonight.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I think you can.
That's fine, because you established that before I got up here, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. The Board of Police Commissioners were established as providing a citizen oversight for the police department. This is only, nothing to do with the police department, just the commission procedures. Do you have an updated agenda? Is my name on that agenda?
The agenda for this month, I think Amy can tell you, was posted early, but I was notified of your request immediately, and we said, we knew you were coming, it was not.
Well, it was within the 48 hours, written rule.
Correct.
So I didn't
No,
know.
You followed protocol, and that's why you're on the agenda this evening.
I was just wondering.
Tom Bell and I have been talking, and Tom knows that you're on the agenda.
I just want to know, under the right to know, if other names are put on the agenda, because each commissioner will know who's going to be here, and it's like a meeting, everyone commissioner knows it. That's all.
Well,
If we
It
get,
should be
I would
published.
assume if we get the information, you know, in this particular case, and you're gonna have to answer this question, but if we get the information in enough time, Joe, not at the 48th hour, 49th hour, whatever, but if we get it in enough time, then we can, and you have, I think last time you were here, we had your name on the agenda.
How many
What's the point?
days
You're
have
here.
to be posted?
You only have to post 24 hours in advance.
That's why I was wondering if it was corrected with the names of the people who want to speak.
And Steve emailed me and told me you wanted me to put on the agenda. I emailed Steve back to let him know. I'm part-time, Joe, okay?
What's the
And I
point?
have to do the paperwork, we've had snowstorms, the town's been closed. the
You're
town
using
hall's
up
been
time.
closed.
What's the point?
I don't know.
So I had Ann put it on the website early, so that I would be sure that I had the agenda up. But technically by law, I only have to put the time, place,
That's right.
that's it, I don't have to put your name. But if you'd like your name, I respectfully ask you.
No, I was
to
just
do it
wondering,
ahead
if
of
it was
time.
part of me of the right to know law, if the names should be there.
They don't have to.
Well, let's be sure in the future that all the notes indicate that Joe Melanson wants to have his name published if he has asked to be on the agenda.
No, I
Would that
just-
be okay?
No, I just thought if anybody asked me an agenda on the right to know, that the names, if they're published there, because each commissioner will know ahead of time. It's like a meeting with a person. You're gonna know ahead of time what that person wants to discuss. It's like a meeting with a commission that's not posted.
Do you know this to be a problem? Or is this
I
hypothetical?
was just gonna, no, just mention that to make sure you check into it.
We typically
Why
put
check
our-
into it? We're all
So I
set.
was just asking
We
Amy.
put our topics on here, and it's kind of
Huh?
a courtesy, but by law, it just
I
needs to
think
be
he's
the
on a
time,
pill or
date,
something.
and the place.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, John, no what?
Okay. I would just say before that some residents that want to attend the meeting to see how the process works could just come here and listen to the reports, and that would generate questions. So I don't know, when you ask me what I want to bring up, I just want to bring up a couple clarifications maybe, and some policies and procedures, and maybe offer the commission something that has been revised since the first day that you may not know about, that's all. Like I said before, it's constructive, that's all. I was
Okay, what are
interested. Well, I will get to it, if you just give me a minute. It says justification and need statement. How about increase in officers shooting? I was talking about body cameras. I know in December, I gave you something from, I think, the AG's office that were going to be effective the 1st of January. Have you had a chance to check on that? Because I think it is in effect,
It is.
okay? And your letter of January 26th did not reference that. You said you're going to wait to find out. And I think it is, so I'm just curious what the position is, if you were gonna look into body cameras again. I think it's important for officer safety, or,
You want us to look into body cameras specifically?
no, I was gonna say, if I have to, I think maybe, whatever the procedure is, we could probably get some maybe private funding to help fund this.
Joe, what's your
Well,
question about the Attorney General's stuff on
As
on
of
the...
the 1st of January, they were gonna have, I think, policies and procedures on body cameras. I have copies here.
I don't think it's policies and procedures. I think there's a state
use.
law. Let me finish. I don't think it's policies and procedures. I haven't seen anything from the Attorney General's office, but I think there's a state law
We have the statute.
that comes out, right? And,
We have the statute.
yeah, it's not in, I don't think it's in January. Where are you getting January from?
I'll find it from last month here.
I think it's 1 July was signed
He's
into
looking.
law by Governor Hassan. So it's not policies and procedures, Joe, it's a law. And so specifically relative to the law, what's your question?
No, I just wanna know if it's gonna be adopted, because you said,
Yeah, so this is a law,
Mhm.
I'm very familiar with
Okay.
it, I've read it, you
All right.
can have that back. So it's not a policy and procedure, okay, so the two things are different, very different, okay? And the law essentially lays out how, if a town or the state is going to procure body cameras, it gives some basic guidelines, very broad, left and right limits, so to speak, on how they'll be used, okay? And now, what I would encourage you to do, and do what I did, do the research, right, and crosswalk the law across the Secretary of State's guidance for records retention, and crosswalk all of that to the right to know law. And I think you're gonna find, as I did, you're gonna find some discrepancies, you're gonna find some conflict between all of that. So I think all of that's gotta be resolved by the state first.
so what's been resolved now, the uniform policies? and
I can't
procedures?
resolve it, I don't have that authority.
No, the AG's office, have they done that yet? Because it's mentioned here in your letter under other voices, that you were waiting to hear or find out what their policy is.
I don't know, Joe, I think you gotta wait for the law to go
Okay.
into effect,
So it
right?
hasn't
I mean,
yet.
Correct, there has been
yeah.
no clear
There's no
defined
law.
policy
Okay.
or
So I
procedure.
think the law takes effect on 1 July.
Yep.
Here's my recommendation.
Where do you see 1 July?
I haven't seen 1 July, but it must be,
It says right on it that it was approved June 24, 2016. The act takes effect January 1, 2017.
Okay.
Effective
All right.
date is January 1, 2017. But I mean, why are we going through all this? What do we
Why?
want to, what do you want to do? What's the point?
because you mentioned here, you're waiting, and I know the article came out the 26th, but I think it was already approved, and I was just wondering where you're at, because you mentioned after the AG's
We're-
office. would
We're
be
not
checking
the
body-
correct body to do
Joe.
anything with it.
I know, you're just
You know
looking
that.
into, right,
No.
maybe purchase cameras.
So
that's
Joe,
all.
I
I mean,
think,
you know,
here's
with
what
all
I,
your
here's what I would
experience-
recommend, if you're looking for my recommendation, a guy with 21 years in law enforcement experience and 34 years in the United States Army in various capacities, this technology and these issues are really very new. They're brand new, okay? And I think there's a lot of stuff here that's gotta get worked out first.
I was just
And-
asking.
And, no, I know, and I'm just trying to explain, and I think, I think, once you hear my explanation, Joe, I think you'll understand. So with new technology, and there's a lot of issues here, the big issue that I see is a constitutional one from privacy.
Privacy, yeah.
Okay, so before we go invest, what is gonna be tens of thousands of dollars on technology, I think we really gotta wait and see how this all
No, wait a minute,
shapes up.
stop a second here. Let's be technical here. My point has been, and still is, this is the inappropriate body to do anything with body cameras. It's gonna require a great deal of expenditure of money. The Board of Selectmen has to create an ordinance. The Board of Selectmen is the one body that should be approached on body cameras. Then, the Board of Selectmen has got to go with a proposed budget to the Board of to the Budget Committee. Because I think from all that we have independently gleaned, is that we're talking probably of a couple of $100,000. This is gonna be like buying a fire truck. This is not gonna be like buying a baton.
Where'd you get those numbers? I told you last month, 400 to 600 for a camera, and then the storage costs.
How about the officer
You know?
that's gonna have to be the IT guy to take command and
Well, that's
control of the
part of,
evidence?
part of the commission's job, just whatever is better for the officers, if you need
The
to.
commission?
improve the safety, yeah.
All right, let me
Policies and
just,
procedures.
let me take a different approach, and I'm gonna stop discussion on this
Second,
shortly.
it's up.
But, because, first of all, I will not disagree with you, Joe, that the body cameras are a good thing. When I look at officer safety, having been a police officer myself, and you have
Yeah.
two of your children are police officers, things like body armor, your weaponry, your taser, these are the things, your presence of mind, these are the things, that's officer safety. The body cameras encompass a whole lot more. If I'm the officer, yeah, public can see, or whoever reviews the tape can see what I'm seeing, okay? Which in your case may or may not be good for you.
What do we have now
Right.
available?
But,
Nothing, right? No cameras?
but again, and you know, having been on the commission for a long time yourself, whenever you move forward with a request of any dollar amount attached to it, in this case, it's gonna be a sizable amount of money. There's no denying that, and it's gonna involve additional personnel, it's gonna involve the technology itself, and so forth. You have to have a substantiated or a support documentation, or, Dean could come to us and we could say, yeah, it sounds great, but then you've gotta go to the Board of Selectmen, and you've gotta sell it to them, and you've gotta sell it to the Budget
Well,
Committee.
other towns use it, so I mean, it's.
Very few towns in this state use it currently. They're smaller departments. The state police turn their back on it until things are defined because of the cost involved. It's becoming something that, people hear about it and think it's a great thing, and they have to look at the entire picture before they make a sound decision and make that kind of commitment. Nobody will dispute that it's not a good idea, and it has a lot of positive applications to it. But there's also a lot of adverse effects, if you will, from a monetary or budgetary standpoint. There's also policies and procedures that have to be in
Oh, I
place
understand. Absolutely.
so it's.
I'd like the chief to rattle off, I know you spent some time looking into this thing and realizing that this RSA is permissive. It's not mandatory requiring the use of body cameras, but says that if you do, here's the rules you have to follow. Now, you were questioning as to whether or not it could cost a couple of $100,000, which is just off the top of my head, as opposed to $400 for a camera. Could you kind of delineate, as you see it,
Sure.
what types of costs we're looking at?
So, from a personnel standpoint, when you're capturing all this video, okay, aside from the storage piece, which is gonna be significant, all right, you have to have a server, maybe even 2 servers, you're gonna be capturing voluminous amounts of video data. That video data has to be reviewed in criminal matters by the prosecutor. If you go out there and do the research, and you talk to some of these other agencies that have just started getting into it, their prosecutors are getting buried with reviewing all this. They have to review it, and then they have to prepare it for release to defense counsels as a matter of course, some of it may be exculpatory. They have to release it to defense counsels. So, right there, you're adding hundreds of hours to the workload of the prosecutorial staff. And
Wouldn't our prosecutor have to go full-time instead of part-time?
our prosecutor
Our
would,
prosecutor?
yeah, you know, from discussing this with him today and looking at his workload, we would have to make our prosecutor full-time. And then we would most likely have to hire a full-time paralegal to help him, assist him with this. I mean, so you're talking about adding personnel. Now, Commissioner Goodgame mentioned also an IT person. Again, you're dealing with the technology, you're dealing with all this storage, you're dealing with treating this almost like evidence. And in fact, in some cases, it will be evidence. You're gonna need a full-time IT support person to assist the department with this, and that is not an inexpensive endeavor. And then you get into the software, which is it's very expensive. You get into the software, it's very expensive. You get into the body cameras. I think Wolfeboro, for example, the body cameras that they went with were not $300 or $400. And I agree with you. I agree with you that there are cameras that are very cheap cameras that are probably in that $300 or $400 range. But the cameras they went with were $1,400. And they have 10 officers, and they just can get 10 cameras. They did the right thing. They got 11 cameras, because what happens when one breaks? And then you've got the server piece, which is $10,000. Then you've got the wiring of the cruisers that has to connect with the cameras that the officer is wearing. So you begin to see how this thing kind of balloons out. And the costs are really, really tremendous. And that is what Commissioner Goodgame is speaking of. So this is not something that we can appropriate $5,000 and make happen easily. Now, I think you'll also find too that a lot of departments have been a little bit further on the cutting edge of technology and have been preparing for this little by little, and that has helped them defray the cost of this to a certain extent. But you're still talking significant investments in technology, significant investments in personnel, and you're talking about adding a tremendous workload to the prosecutor. To be quite honest with you, we're not equipped for that. We are not equipped for that.
Maybe at some point, maybe put money aside and start it?
You know, there are, you know, that's certainly a possibility, and we've discussed,
Private donation?
you know, we've discussed reserve accounts for the police department, and that's, I think, something that will come up in the 2018 discussions with the police commission on the budget. But we have a list of needs. There are things that we need right now that, you know, we that are priority. And if you have benefactors that want to contribute or looking to contribute and assist the police department, I want to meet them. And I will wrap my arms right around them. I'll make them my new best friend, and we'll get them right before the budget committee, that I promise you. Because I need new light bars. I'm looking at a new dispatch console. I'm looking at having to replace all of my tasers in my police department. There are a number of things. What did I miss?
Is this in the budget somewhere? I looked for the budget to see what
No,
was in the budget, and I didn't see it.
Joe, it's not in the budget, and you hit the nail on the head, because we're given guidance by the town on discretionary spending. What I'm describing to you is just that, discretionary spending. And when we're given marching orders by the town manager, you know, we follow that, and we try to make do with what we have, because we're trying to keep costs low, we're trying to keep costs down, we're trying to be responsible, we're trying to put together a fiscally responsible budget. So we work really hard at that, and we're you know we're seeing what we can get by with, but we do have a list of needs, and like I said, if you do have benefactors and if they do want to make donations, there's a process for that. This board is not it. But there is a process for that, and I know what that is, and I can help them. If they want to donate, I can help them do that. That's my promise to you.
All right, at this time, I've got to,
So on the budget, just to finish up real quick, I was looking, was there a budget meeting posted somewhere? I couldn't find the minutes this year. We must have met sometime.
no, we didn't. We were provided with the budget
Oh, okay.
information, but we didn't meet and discuss the budget.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, the chief went with, did you go to the budget meeting?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, with the new chief, are you guys gonna do a citizen survey? Have you talked about that at all?
What was your question, Joe? I'm
The
sorry.
citizen survey, it's in the SOPs, it's usually recommended done yearly, but I don't think one's been done in a long time. I didn't know if you'd be interested in finding out what the feedback is from the public. I mean, it is in the SOPs, in the commission book, a citizen survey.
No, what I personally have found in terms of walking around and asking people and things, if they have a problem, they'll let you know. If they don't have a problem, you don't know, it's good news.
Last thing, you might have this, I know they've changed some of the RSAs and how you do things in non-public, I don't know if you have this. This year, it's something new. The motions and stuff, it's more than just 2/3 roll call, it has to be individually who votes for what. That's effective the first of the year, so if you might want to look into that, so it's done correctly. I still think it's difficult for someone to be here at 4 o'clock and 48-hour rules.
Well, I assure you,
You know,
Mr. Malinsky, we will take both that issue and the body camera under advisement. We will continue to look at that, and we will most definitely be back in touch. And I thank you for coming.
yeah, did I hear one thing? Did you ask me if I was on a pill? Did you tell Bonnie I was on a pill?
Did I ask you what?
Did you ask me about taking a pill?
Yeah, I wondered if you took your aspirin.
Oh, I didn't think that was appropriate, but I guess it sounded.
Well, you seemed all rattled and
I
everything.
wasn't rattled,
You need
no.
to calm her down or
No, I
aspirin.
didn't need it. No, you just wouldn't let me talk for a while, that's all.
Did
But you
want to
see,
come back, Joe?
the 5 minutes that was originally given you is long gone.
That was given me after I started. If I'd known
And-
that, I would have condensed it to 5
And
minutes.
this, to me, what your last submission was,
Yeah,
is a perfect example of
To help you out.
let us know ahead of time.
I
If
just
you let us
got
know
that
ahead of time,
today.
if you let us know ahead of time and you ask the question, are you aware of this?
Do you know anything about the change?
I just got it
Then we
today.
would,
I don't know.
Just today.
come on, Joe, you just got it today. From whom?
Did I just get it today? Anyone?
Who'd you get it from?
What's it matter? I got it today.
Why didn't it come yesterday, or the day before? What's the
All right,
difference
I
between
just got
today?
it today because I was told the changes. So, I got it today.
But anyway, conceptually, I'm just saying, and you're getting me worked up here, but I'm
Well,
just
take
saying.
a pill, Ron. You told me to.
I'm
Why
going
don't
to,
you?
believe me, it won't be
All
long
right,
before I
all
get a
right.
pill.
All right,
Okay.
enough, Ron. All right,
Now,
we're-
last thing, we enter non-public session. Who goes in? I'm just curious. Amy, do you go in there or just the
she
commission?
goes in, the commission goes in, and the chief, the executive officers go in.
Well, I don't know. It just says the members of the board holding the meeting, that's it. No part of the right to know law grants anyone other than board members a right to attend a non-public session, whether the person is an employee, minute taker, for the board and attorney, right there.
Did you see the
New
right,
Hampshire municipalities.
did you see the word right to attend?
No. It says the members of the board holding the meeting, that's it.
Go back, read,
That's it.
read me what you read before
Well, I'll
about
let
the
you
right
know.
to attend.
I'll leave it for you.
You said the right to attend,
Is this
Joe.
also a new change?
Just read it, yeah. No part of this right to know law grants anyone.
Where is this thing?
It's highlighted in the
Which
yellow
one?
one. It's right here.
Oh, here's the point. No part of the right to know law
Mhm.
grants anyone other than board members a right to attend.
That's
We can ask anybody we want to that we think will be helpful in the non-public
That's
session.
fine, but I didn't see Amy's minutes in the non-public when you went and take a vote, that's all. I was just wondering. I didn't see your name listed as to who you take into the
She's
non-public
the recording
session.
secretary.
That's
She
right.
signs the minutes.
It's right here. She's
Did you
not-
see the minutes? Have you seen our minutes?
No part of it.
Do you see where it is signed off by Amy?
Right, but I'm just saying, who has the
So
right to
if-
attend a non-public session?
A right is a different from.
But do you
Right
not want me
is
to take
different
minutes?
from
Oh, no, I was
a
just curious. I didn't
request.
see your name under the non-public session, so I didn't know if you were doing those.
I typed them.
Okay.
She's the secretary.
But they also have a form you can go by that goes to you from non-public session. Well, if you go in New Hampshire municipalities, you'll see it. It's all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep, you're welcome. Just trying to be helpful, that's all.
That's not for me.
All right, so at this point, if I can find my agenda again.
Do you want to say something?
Oh,
You need the
Suzanne,
sheet
wanna say
back?
something?
No, you can have that, no.
Does Suzanne want to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry, Suzanne, did you have a question?
Yeah, I also read that letter to the editor, and then sitting here hearing what's going on. My only question is a simple question to the board. I have no qualms with the police department, I love the police department. Do you have rules, like bylaws, rules of procedure for the board? I understand you write the policy and the procedures with and for the police department, but so there's none of this misunderstanding as to what citizens can or cannot do with the board, or how the board conducts its meetings, and how they post their agenda, other than what the state law says. Do you have your own bylaws, and if so, where are they?
But if I may, I've been on the police commission for a while now, and was on the police commission when Joe was on the police commission. I have never seen a published or compendium of the various and sundry rules that the commission operates under. The reason is, I think, because 99.9% of those rules are internal operative rules. For example, we adopted years and years ago Robert's Rules of Order. But there's no place other than a resolution way back when that says, let's use Robert's Rules of Order to govern our meetings. And I think the same is with whether we start at 4 o'clock, or we start at 7 o'clock, what day, is it Wednesday or Thursday? It's all done by a resolution, and it ends up being in the minutes. But I think the only way you could probably find them, if they were all reduced, those minutes were all reduced by some IT person, so that you could put a search engine in to try to find that this was adopted in 1975. But to answer your question directly, my sense is that there is no one compendium to go to.
I think another way to answer your question, ma'am, is that you alluded to the state. Under 91A, the right to know law, it's very specifically written to public meetings and to public hearings. And I please understand, I don't mean to insult anybody's intelligence, I just want to clarify so that everybody understands. But under 91A, when you're dealing with a meeting as such, as a police commission meeting or even a board of selectmen meeting, the best way to characterize that in the simplest term is it's a business meeting. So we're here today in a business meeting, if you will, with command staff of the police department, and information is exchanged relative to their activity. A lot of what we hear from their activity will lend itself later on down the road if there's a request made, for example, for additional manpower, what have you, if they've got the documentation to support that. And
Not
as
to
such-
be confused with a news conference.
Right, but as a business meeting, and the fact that it is a police commission meeting or a board of selectmen meeting, 91A only grants the right to the general public to attend the meeting. And it in no way gives them any right whatsoever to speak at that meeting.
That's understood.
Okay.
I
And,
understand.
but the Board of Selectmen and the Police Commission, and I'm sure the other boards in town too, should questions arise. It's, for example, if when we were going through our business portion, if the chief was talking about the amount of tickets we give out versus, if you had a question, raise your hand, I would have recognized you.
Well, the thing of it is when you convene a meeting and you allow public comment on your agenda, you have a rule, 48-hour
Well,
notice.
no, again, let me
Once you
clarify.
allow public comment, then the chairman, I just saw the chairman set a time limit. The chairman does control the meeting, without a doubt.
Well, 91A actually gives the
I'm
chairman.
not talking about 91A, I'm talking about once you have a citizen on your agenda to talk to you about whatever to do with your board, you have no parameters of how you're gonna conduct that business with a citizen. And, okay, you wanna give a citizen 3 minutes to talk, that's fine, you wanna give a citizen, but you have no bylaws. It sounds to me like you have to conduct your business, no bylaws. And I think that a lot of confusion would go away if you had some.
Well,
And it could be
that's
very
why-
simple, one sheet. Even the agricultural commission has bylaws, one sheet, that's all it would take.
We can come up with bylaws, but the important thing that we're trying to do right now is we're trying to maintain some kind of consistency, some kind of order in a meeting, so that in the allowance of public speaking,
That's what bylaws would do for you.
you know, again, we welcome questions when we're, you know, when we're conducting the business portion of the meeting, if you will, if there's questions about the item at hand. And if somebody is in attendance and they have a question, they raise their hand, they would be identified. If somebody requests to be put on the agenda for a specific item,
I have no problem with what you're trying to do. I have no problem with what you're trying to do. I think it needs to get down on paper, that's all.
and we can do that. And we
That's
can do
just a
that.
suggestion.
Mr. Chair, I asked the
You're
same
gonna
question,
alleviate
if
a lot
I
of
get an
confusion.
answer back on the same thing that Suzanne had asked. I'd ask, where is the rule you made? Where is it? If you're making rules and regulation, you have to have written somewhere that you made a rule that's gonna be 48 hours written notice.
It would
They have your name.
Suzanne, I agree with you, but the
be- it
one,
would be
Probably
your
gonna be on.
rules that you can amend and
That was never
change,
there when I was there.
whatever. It could
There
be
was no
very
rule
simple.
like that.
And I just hate to see,
There was no time frame to get on the agenda.
I hate to see this,
me too.
so.
It's
But
bad, yeah.
it's
I
also,
appreciate the time, I don't want to
No, it's
belabor
just-
it. You do with it as you wish.
Thank you very much. I do.
You're
we do
elected,
appreciate
we'll
that.
all take care of it
But
in
you
the
did
ballot
say
box.
in other
All right,
words,
thank
that
you.
you were open to anyone coming here, so as long as they're on the agenda, so it just, you know, that's fine.
Okay. I gotta find my agenda.
You want one here?
I got it. I got it.
Excuse me, guys.
At this point, I am going to entertain a motion to enter non-public session under RSA.
thanks
91
Suzanne Ryan for your input.
Thank you,
Thank you
Suzanne.
for your opportunity.
RSA 91-A, we will be under sub-items A, the dismissal, promotion, or
See you,
compensation.
Tom,
of
see you,
an
Joe.
employee.
Tomorrow,
He's making a motion, are you guys coming back in the public session for anything, or you're just non-public now?
Then we're going non-public, and then we're gonna adjourn.
Tom,
Yeah.
tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Paragraph B, the hiring of any person as a public employee. C, matters discussed in public would adversely affect someone's reputation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Good game, yes.
Wood, yes?